Alright everyone, so with The Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping that releases in theaters on November 20th, 2026, and this is another prequel in the Hunger Games series, and this time focusing on Haymitch's time and his point of view in the Hunger Games, and this is going to be set before the original series, with everything that's started to go into development of production, and now we may have some big casting updates to not only who will be playing Haymitch, but President Snow as well. So I'm going to be breaking it all down, and so much more to talk about as we head into this prequel coming to theaters next year. And so, if you're new, then be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so it's on any future videos. But now, let's hop right into it. And now, starting out first things first, if we all know that The Hunger Games is a popular book adaptation film series, especially as it started out with The Hunger Games from 2012, and then with Catching Fire and Mockingjay Part 1 and 2, and those four movies became a phenomenon, especially with Katniss Everdeen and Peter Malark, because especially as those books are beloved and people love the books, especially with all four movies. And then right after that, the recent Hunger Games movie, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes from 2023, it introduced the origin of young Cornelia Snow, played by Tom Bluth, because it's especially for what happened with his transformation that led him to become President Snow, who you may know, who's the evil politician in the Hunger Games, because especially with every way that he has gone within the atmosphere and world of the Hunger Games is all led on war, especially with District 12 and everything that is surrounding it. And now, especially with Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping, that is going to be the upcoming prequel in 2026, especially with all the deep details that we've gotten. I think it's a very exciting time because we are going to explore Haymitch's time in the Hunger Games. That's right, that is Woody Harrelson's character, because especially I think in the books, because we got to love it, know more about Haymitch's backstory. And even with the book that is out right now, and people are loving it because especially as this explores Haymitch's time and his backstory for how he was raised and how he was put into the games, because especially with everyone that he's met, and especially with every enemy that he has to go through. And even though I love the aspect of the storytelling that this book brings, because the movie is going to be set 24 years before the original series, and that's why but before Haymitch ever met Katniss and Peeta and became their mentors, especially guiding them through the Hunger Games of what it is really like. And even though I loved all four movies, because it's especially with Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes that gave more clarity on the real backstory of the games, because that was really something special. But now with Sunrise on the Reaping, we're going to get a ton more backstory revealed as well. And even with everything that we know about the movie so far, and especially with details that were revealed, especially during the Lionsgate panel at CinemaCon with Francis Lawrence, and came out and gave bits and details, because especially if you know him, that did the later installments but not the first movie. That filming starts in July. They're getting everything ready, and they have not begun casting yet, but even though they are eyeing roles to play Haymitch and President Cornelia Snow, they're being very careful of who to cast, because especially as this is going to be a prequel telling Haymitch's perspective for what he had to go through during the Hunger Games, and I have a feeling with Sunrise on the Reaping it's going to reveal more stuff, especially from the four movies and even from the last prequel movie, and especially as there's going to be a ton revealed about the Hunger Games, especially with all the districts, including for District 12. So it sounds like Francis Lawrence is going to take good care of that, especially as he loves the book series written by Suzanne Collins, and I'm feeling like this new movie is going to be great, and I think we should all be excited for it. Now, with the casting updates that we have here, that's right, our first piece of news for this movie is who will be playing Haymitch and President Cornelia Snow. And now, especially as a couple of days ago, that it's being reported that with Charlie Plummer is being eyed for the role of Haymitch. Now, especially I have never heard of him, but I'm pretty sure he's been in good stuff. But especially if you look at Haymitch's personality, especially as Woody Harrelson portrayed him in the 4 movies, and that for what his personality is like, he's like an alcoholic. He is drunk because this is especially as he's like in that mood where he's sometimes a comedic guy or in that mental state, because I think for what Charlie's background is, because especially if he wants to portray the character of Haymitch, right, because they have to nail his personality in order to make this movie work, because let's face it, this is a prequel to a franchise that everyone loves for a book adaptation. And on top of that, with other actors that were being eyed to play the role of Haymitch, and especially with Mike Feist, who you may know from Challengers, and I think he was in West Side Story, the remake from Steven Spielberg, and I think he would nail the role, but there's other candidates, because even with Kieran Culkin, that's right, the guy from Succession, like, he was being eyed for the role, but I think with Charlie Plummer, and I think he delivered a very good Haymitch, because especially for what he has to adapt his personality into the character, meaning that they have to do it right, meaning they have to do this right. And now, next up for who is being eyed to be playing President Cornelius Snow, and that's right, and it has been revealed that Ralph Fiennes is being eyed for the role, because especially as I think this is perfect, because especially with President Snow, who is the evil politician and the one who is supervising and monitoring all the activities going on in the Hunger Games and all the districts, because especially with Ralph Fiennes, who was known for playing a Voldemort in the Harry Potter film series, and especially as a Voldemort is a very popular character, and Ralph Fiennes portrayed it perfectly on screen. And now, especially with, these are very good casting choices for Haymitch and President Snow, because especially with the whole story of Sunrise on the Reaping, like, this is going to be telling the story of Haymitch, and for what his personality is going to be driven to more, we're going to learn a lot more about his personality, and I think that's something that's going to be very exciting. And like, even though with Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, it was really more on President Snow's perspective on how he transformed to be so evil towards the end of that movie. But because, especially with that film, and that was pulled off well, with some parts of the movie towards the end that I do not agree with. I mean, some things were rushed, but it turned out to be a very good movie that is set within the Hunger Games world. I think like 100 years before the events of the first movie, but now with this prequel focusing on Haymitch for what his time in the Hunger Games was like before he met up with Katniss Everdeen and Peter Millar, because, and even though he became a mentor to them, and even for what I want from this movie, because especially as the fans of both the books and the film series that have loved from over the years, and even with touching upon the 50th Hunger Games for what that story was about, and this is going to be focusing on Haymitch being a read from District 12 to volunteer as tribute and to compete in the games, because I'm pretty sure with that book, I mean, Haymitch, and I think he had like a pretty tough time just to compete in the games, and now, as we've known later on in the 4 movies, he has told the entire story from his perspective to Katniss and Peeta, and especially if you know the original series, for what Katniss had to go through in the first Hunger Games that she has ever been in, to volunteer as a tribute, and especially with Katniss and Peeta, for what they had to go through, especially with the obstacles that they had to face, and trust me, it's so many good movies, and I mean, those movies felt like events, and now, because I think of what Haymitch's time is going to be really on once we get into this movie, because we are returning to the world of Hunger Games in 2026, and it's going to be filled with like war and also that propaganda, the Panem and all the districts we're like facing, because especially with all the politics that is surrounded within the world of the Hunger Games, and I'm pretty sure that with these actors being eyed for the roles of both Haymitch and Snow, I think they can do like a good job, but it has to be good. It has to be a good story point for them. Reasons why I'm excited for Sunrise on the Reaping, it's because, I mean, Haymitch was a very great character in the Hunger Games series. Like, he was a good mentor. This is set before the very first Hunger Games novel, and basically before the entire series. But hey, there's tons to be looking forward to as Hunger Games fans, and I'm pretty sure Like once we get more details, especially with on-set photos and every juice of bits of details, and I'm pretty sure we can all be excited for the next Hunger Games movie coming to theaters in 2026 as well. So yeah, it's all going to be very exciting, and it's all coming together as we get more stuff revealed as well. But let's get to our first video. Just let me know in the comments below, and how excited are you for Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping, and what do you think of these casting choices to play President Snow and Haymitch? Do you think these are good? But just let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe and turn on notifications below future videos. Also follow all my social medias, all linked down below. And with that, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.